Hi Floss Tube, I'm Jane.
And I'm Amelia.
And we're here to talk about our July and August cross stitching. We're a little bit late with this month's video because I was picking some things up from the framers and I wanted to include it in my video. So we normally try and film on the last Sunday of the month, but we're a couple of weeks late this month just because I wanted to wait until my things were ready from the framers. So today is Sunday, August 16th. It's a beautiful day in Sydney. Weather's starting to come good as we're coming
Into spring.
Yeah, it'll be spring. Well, won't be spring until September, but the days are certainly are not a lot nicer. So a few things to show you. So we'll get started. We'll start with what I've been stitching on this month. So the first one is
Joy's Day by Blackbird Designs.
Just hold it back a little bit so they can see the whole thing. If you hold it to the side and cover my face, then you can see what you're showing. Oh Joy's Day by Blackbird Designs. So here's my progress. I haven't done a lot of stitching on this one this month. I have done some more on this flower here and started this next flower and up the side here. I think I had started stitching on the house last time I showed this, but I haven't done anything more there. So just a little bit of progress on this one. I do love stitching on it, but I've been addicted to one of my other projects, which I'll show you in a minute. So it's got heaps of my attention, and so everything else hasn't got much attention this month. But this is a beautiful piece. The colours are absolutely gorgeous. I'm using all the called for colours. And I'm stitching it on 40 count Legacy by Picture This Plus, which is probably one of my favourite linens to stitch on. I think it looks great and it's just really nice to work with. So yeah, it's coming along good. All right, next up, what's next?
Country Cottage Needlework Frosty Forest.
My Frosty Forest series. And which block is this one? What's it called?
7. No, it's called Snowy Friends.
Snowy Friends. Okay, so I'll show you the whole thing first. That's how it's looking at the moment. And do you want to point out the block I'm working on, Millie?
That one.
Yeah. So I'm not quite finished. I've got to do those snow down the bottom. I think there's some leaves as well. And then
yeah, there's a couple of leaves.
Yeah.
And yeah, you did the bit.
And the one next to it, can you just point that one out? The one in the middle?
That one.
Yeah, down the bottom in the middle. So I hadn't quite finished that last month. So I've managed to finish that off this month. And yeah, I probably take around 10 days to do a block. So I haven't got too much more to go before this will be fully finished. After I finish doing all the stitching, I do need to go back and do the French knots and some back stitching, as well as there's little buttons that go on each block. So I need to put them on as well. So I guess that'll take another couple of days for me to do all that. But it's certainly getting close to a finish, and this was one of the ones that had been hanging around.
Because you were mad at it when we were camping?
Yeah. I had used the wrong white, so I'm just using DMC white, and
you used the wrong number?
Yeah, I'd done 2 blocks, and then I had started the next block, and I'd done a whole heap of the white in B5200, and I didn't realise until I was stitching outside, and I could see this massive difference in the colour of the whites, and so I knew I was going to have to unpick all the 5200.
And that made you very, very mad.
It did make me very mad, so it got put away for quite some time, and then I pulled it back out and
fixed it,
unpicked it, started going, and yeah, it's going well. I think I'm enjoying it again. It is stitched on 32 count Star Sapphire linen. So I'm using 2 threads, and I am using all the called for colours on this. I haven't changed anything. I think it looks really cool.
Doesn't the swimming look different from the little block?
I hope not. He might be missing his eyes or his, because I don't
think he has the headphones.
I'm going to do that at the end. But yeah, so that's that one. I really like that. I think it'll be nice, you know, to have up around. It's not really a Christmas one, so I could have it up in winter and I could have it, but I probably will put it up in around Christmas time as well. And then my next one that I've been working on has been a new start this month.
It's the Jane Fitter's 1835.
And who's that one by?
Hands Across the Sea.
Yeah, Hands Across the Sea samplers. So I've done just the little Jane Marshall, which I showed earlier in the year, but I haven't ever done a full Hands Across the Sea sampler before. So this is my first one, and I'm completely addicted. So I joined a stitch along for this, which started on the 4th of July, and I basically have been stitching on it ever since. I can't put it down. I love it. Now I'm making a lot of changes to this, so I'll talk about them, and maybe you can help point them out as I hold it up. So this is what I've done so far.
You've actually changed the fabric colour?
No, actually I think this is the called for colour. So I'm stitching it on 36 count straw by Weeks Dye Works. It is on the old, it's not on the Zweigart based, so it's on the old Weeks, but I'm finding it fine to stitch with. But I am changing all the initials. So
to our family initials.
Yeah. So do you want to point out the big letters?
There.
Yeah, so that's my husband, myself, and I'm doing my maiden. I'm doing everyone who I'm putting on here. I'm using their maiden initial.
Yeah, and there's us back there.
Yeah, so that's Ethan and Amelia there. So these big letters across here, myself, my husband, Ethan and Amelia. There is a motif that goes in here, but it has just a little design, like a little
I see it.
symbol or something, a little picture. But I'm leaving that to the end because of two reasons. One, it has satin stitch, and because I'm doing this on a Q-snap, I don't want the satin stitch to pull. And the other reason is some of the colours on this fabric don't show up particularly well, and one of the colours on this motif is that colour. So for example, around my initials here was meant to be, where is it? This colour green, but it looks okay when you're doing the cross stitch, but I found when I was doing this double running stitch, it just didn't show up at all. So I had to swap that colour for one that stood out a little bit more. And so on this motif, it's that same colour green that's got some double running stitch around it. So I'm unsure whether or not I'm going to change it to a different green. I'm trying to keep as close to the original colours.
Like, so you can ask me to help you like I did last time?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. You know, even though I'm changing the actual letters, I am still stitching it in the same colours as are on the original sampler. This sampler also has a few specialty stitches that I haven't done before, so you know, that was something I had said at the start of the year, that I wanted to branch out a little bit more with my stitching, you know, try finishing some things myself, as well as try some different types of stitches, and this has been good for doing that. So we'll talk about the next row down after those letters. Do you just want to point out the next row? So this one here. So this, on this side, this is Matt's parents' initials here, and on this side is my parents' initials. And they're done in eyelet stitches, which I think came up quite well. And I quite enjoyed doing them. I found them very easy to do. And then the next row under that is my grandparents, and Matt's grandparents. So over this side is Matt's grandparents, and over like from here onwards are my grandparents. And again, I'm using everybody's maiden names in the initials.
Like, so MC is Dad's initials, and your first initials before you became JC was JF.
Yeah, correct. And I'm doing that with everyone. So for all the grandparents, I'm putting their maiden name initials. And what I'll do when I finish the whole thing is I'll put on the back, when I get it framed, I'll list out who everybody is, so that you know, if anyone, you know, wants to know who's who, they can see who it is on the back. And then so my grandparents there, that's all done in 4-sided stitch, which again is a stitch that I haven't done before, but very, very easy, and it looks like cross stitch on the back. And again, I really enjoyed doing the 4-sided stitch. With changing the letters, I did have to design those letters myself, unless it just so happened to be one that was used in the original sampler. But yeah, for me, like the M, the big M, I had to design the C, the A, the J. I had to design each of those myself, and then make sure that it still fit within the sampler. And over here on the original sampler, she had gone out of the border, so I've tried to do the same thing here. So I am doing my own thing with it, but also trying to keep it as close to the original, because I love the original. I think it looks great. And so now I'm down into the motifs down here. So the rest of it is all different motifs, but it still has initials scattered throughout it. So
like aunts and uncles and
yeah,
cousins.
well, that's what I'm going to do. So down here I've got some initials there and there and here. They're the ones I've done so far, and again I'm putting them in the same place as on the original sampler and using the same colours, but I'm putting my brother and sisters will be scattered all down here,
and our cousins,
and if they're married then I'll put their partner's initials, and then my husband just has one brother who's married, and I'll put their initials on here as well. So that's what's going down in that section. And then down the very bottom, so I'm almost at the bottom here, so I've just got to come down probably just to there, and then it goes across. And on the original sampler, Jane has put her name and the year she stitched it, which I'll do, and then over this side I'll put my name and the year that I'm stitching it as well. So yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful sampler. It has got so much colour, and I'll just try, and it's hard to show you because this cardboard isn't quite big enough, but it's honestly one of my favourite things I've ever worked on. Oh, and here's another, this thing here, that's plait stitch, which I had never done it before. I could not figure that out for the life of me. It took me about an hour to figure out how to do it, and then once I figured it out, I loved it. I think it looks really great. It gives some more texture. And then the bird here, his head is over 1. So there's a lot more detail on that bird's head, which I hate doing over 1, but my husband has a magnifier, so I use that, and it certainly makes it a whole lot easier. And I'm glad I did it, because I think it looks really good. So I'm certainly branching out with my stitching in terms of I've done the eyelet stitch, the 4-sided stitch, and the double running back stitch, and the plait stitch. So there's 4 new stitches that I've done so far. I think I've got the stem stitch, must be the last one that I haven't done yet.
What about these?
Yeah, we're getting there. So yeah, if you haven't got this, I highly recommend it. It is really beautiful, really colourful, and lots of fun to stitch. I love it. I'll be working on that until
it's done.
I started it on the 4th of July, and I did have some trouble with this section. This whole section here, I was having real difficulty stitching it. And I was finding it strange because I was finding like it really difficult to find the holes, and I couldn't understand why. And it wasn't until I'd pretty much got the whole way across I realised I was one thread off. And I thought, and because I had to use a magnifier for that, and I never normally have to use a magnifier when I'm just doing regular cross stitch. And when I kind of got over here, over to the, I went over to this side, I could see it wasn't lining up properly with the letters above it. And so I had to unpick the whole thing, which really, again, made me a little cranky. So when that happened, that's when I did some work on the Frosty Forest, and then I came back to it and got going. And I think it was just because I was that one thread off is why I was having so much difficulty. It must have just been pulling the threads a certain way, and it wasn't liking me being that one thread off. So I should have realised that it wasn't working for that reason. But anyway, there it is. Obviously I love it because I've shown it to you about 100 times now. So that's that. I'll stop talking about Jane Fitters now. My husband says that's all you talk about is this sampler. You must really love it. So I do. All right, shall we talk about my finishes?
Yes, can I hold them up?
Of course. I'm going to show this one first. Try not to touch the glass.
Don't know what it's called.
This one's called Jane Marshall. So this was my first Hands Across the Sea. I'm getting a bit of glare. Yeah, hold it like that. If you hold it like that.
Because of the TV.
Yeah, you can't. That looks good. So this was the one that I guess has started this whole addiction to the Hands Across the Sea samplers. And this was released back when we were having the fires in Australia as a fundraiser for the Rural Fire Service, for 2 of them up around the Blue Mountains. I changed all the colours on this from what was originally charted. I loved the design, but the colours weren't really to my taste, so I changed everything, and I'm really happy with how it's come out. It's just a little one, and it was initially, as I said, on there as a fundraiser, but now, so then after the fundraiser ended, it was taken off the Hands Across the Sea website, but now it's back up there as a little gem for you to download again. So again, this is great. This didn't take me very long to stitch. It's all just cross stitch. You know, it's very...
My arms get sore.
Oh, it's, you know, very easy. And I do have listed on my Instagram my colour conversion. So if you're interested in that, you can go look on my Instagram. I'm Jane Curry, but I've got, it's JaneCurrie. That's my Instagram name. And if you scroll through to where I finished this, it's probably back in February maybe. I do list out my colours that I used.
And you didn't get it framed then?
No, because I knew I was close to finishing a few things, so I wanted to take them all at once to the framers. So yeah, I love, love, love it. I was really happy with that, and I'm happy with the frame choice as well. And the other one is this one. You want to hold this one up? I'll talk about it. You just hold it up, love.
I still don't remember what it's called.
This one is the Quilting Bee. Good job. Again, I loved this pattern. It came out at market last year by the Blue Flower, and it is absolutely stunning. This cross stitch pattern is fantastic. It only has 5 or 6 colours in it, I think. but they're just so beautiful. And so yeah, I had finished it, took it off to get framed, and here it is. I can't wait to get this up on my wall.
Where are you going to hang it?
I don't know yet. I've got an idea, but the other piece that I took to get framed was my Plum Street Sampler Retreat piece, which I'd also finished. And they can't get the frame that I had picked out. There's like major delays with it, so I can either wait and get that frame, or I could go choose another frame. So
And we did.
yeah, I went there yesterday to pick these up, and I've picked out a different frame. So
And you said, why didn't I see this one?
yeah, I really love the one that I've chosen. Maybe even better than what I had picked originally. So I'll get that in 2 more weeks, and when I get that, I guess I'll have a look at all of them together and work out where I want to hang them all. But yeah, how cool is this? I love it. I think, you know, this is definitely my favourite of the 2 that I picked up yesterday, but everybody else seems to like the Jane Marshall one. The kids, you know, said that this was their favourite.
Yeah, it was.
And I mean, I love it as well. But this pattern, absolute genius pattern, I reckon. I love it.
Do you want me to show this one?
Yeah, so then we've just got my purchase for the month, which is only 1 purchase, so it's not...
It's not going to be a long video.
No, not too bad. Okay.
Oh.
And guess what? It's another Hands Across the Sea. And what's this one called?
The 2018 Queen of the May.
Yeah, and it's Sarah Brazier. So I'm sure you've all seen this one a gazillion times. I must have looked at this, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of times, watching other people stitch it, and eventually just said, you know what, I'm gonna get it. So I got it. It's massive. It's so big. It is, well, I'm going to stitch it on 36 count. It's 487 stitches that way, and it's 482 stitches that way, so it's almost square, but it is massive. I'm going to stitch it in DMC because I can't afford to stitch it in the silk. And I quite like the DMC. And I've never stitched in silk either, so I wouldn't want to start stitching in silk on something really, really big. So we'll get out you want to get out the fabric, and I'll get out the threads. So I've got it all kitted up, ready to go. I'm stitching it on the called for colour fabric, which is Summer Khaki. It's a really beautiful colour. So that's it. And then these are the
Colours.
which, you know, you're never going to be able to see these well, but
It's the best you could do.
really, really gorgeous colours. Beautiful yellows and blues and greens.
Didn't I help you pick these?
Yeah, because,
Oh, is it really?
yeah.
Ah.
I don't know whether you can get a sense of those colours, but heaps of colours obviously needed, and a whole massive piece of fabric.
Didn't you get it cut?
Yeah, I got it cut to size. I think it's about 80 centimetres by maybe 85 centimetres by 85 centimetres. It's going to be huge, especially by the time you get a frame on it. I can't wait to start it, and I actually was thinking of starting it on my birthday, which is next week, but I don't know. I think I might leave it and just keep working on Jane Fittis. Okay, so that's all I've got to talk about. What have you got to show us this week, Millie?
over the last weekend,
Talk nice and loud and talk into the...
last weekend I had a couple of weeks ago we had my birthday, and then the week after that we made this. It was a gift from someone up in Darwin. It's a 3D unicorn puzzle thing, and it didn't take that long to make. It took 10 minutes.
Maybe 10, maybe 20. Want to explain how you had to do it?
So it had all these labeled bits in the instructions, and it was labeled like A to D, and you had to get out A1, A2, D4, and stuff like that, and put them into the places. So once we did this side, I think was the first side, then it's just easier to copy off this side because you just have to get that bit like that over here.
It looks really good.
I couldn't get that bit in.
Yeah, I helped with that, but otherwise I think you kind of did everything, didn't you?
No, not really.
Yeah, so that's what she's been working on. So, what are your plans for the rest of August for craft? I'm going to continue with Jane, and probably Frosty Forest. That'll be my focus. What about you?
Start the Thingamabob, the new one, the blue birdie one.
Oh, okay. Some more new cross stitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll be nice. Okay, well, I think we're done. So thanks for watching. Hope you're well, and we'll see you next time.